For the subdomain organization of the classroom, I found that the layout of the room allows the children to access all learning materials. Although, when scrutinizing the classroom, I do believe there are a few areas where I have to admit they're not as thoughtfully planned out, and it does feel like there could be some intrusion from adjacent areas. Mainly two spots. We have a Lego table that's just not in a good spot. It's kind of kitty-cornered behind their dramatic play area. It's in the way of the block area. The children, when they go to the Lego table, they don't actually use the table. They end up on the floor. I think we're going to fix that probably just by switching out the Legos for right now. We just got some new giant cardboard bricks that they're super into, so the Legos have just kind of been gathering dust for a little while. The other thing is we have like a mobile science station we call our smart cart, where we keep magnifying glasses, microscopes, and our science stuff. Right now it's home to a rotting pumpkin in a jar, because we're doing our Pumpkin Jack experiment, and just based off a book called Pumpkin Jack. We're watching it decompose, which is a little weird, but cool, which is kind of the theme of our class. We're weird, but we're cool. That's really the two biggest areas. Everything else is pretty well organized. Everything is sectioned off into stations. Kids have free access. Areas are pretty well defined. For contents of the classroom, I gave myself a pretty basic score because, to quote the ELCO, there's some evidence that materials are well organized, appealing, accessible, and coordinated with ongoing learning goals. But it's pretty basic, because when I stopped to examine certain areas, I found that while they might be organized to best assist with the SDI learning goals that I'm responsible for, they're not necessarily in the child's best interests. For example, our art area, we have all of our crayons are sectioned off into little plastic cups, and by colors, they're organized by colors, and those cups are inside muffin tins. But when I thought about it, that's not helping with their OT goals at all. If I broke those crayons in half and they had to use the little tripod grasps, that would be much better. Another reason that I settled on the score is that, again, to quote the ELCO, although children's work is displayed, the contents may lack originality or may reinforce singular interpretations of classroom investigations. At the moment, and I swear it's just at the moment, I'm very guilty of currently displaying a lot of cut and paste artwork. It's not something that I typically do, but my children have been very focused on the Mo Williams pigeon books and really everything Mo Williams. And I used the pigeon to work with their shape identification goals and showing them that it's basically, it's a semicircle for a body and a circle for a head, rectangle for a neck. And we've done a lot of projects where they've used shapes to make the pigeon and to make the duckling and that sort of stuff. And that's the sort of stuff that we have on the walls right now when I was assessing the classroom. For classroom management, I found that there's pretty strong evidence of a good understanding of classroom management using the criteria from the ELCO. I'm basing that off the quote that the students appear to have internalized regular rules and routines, as well as how they move through the day smoothly with few conflicts. We often see the children engaged in purposeful play and activities. Again, that's partially due to the classroom management, and a lot, I think, to do with the individual children and their skill levels. We helped kind of set the stage for this by discussing feelings early on in the school year, and specifically talk about strategies that children can utilize when they feel frustrated, such as raising their hands and using the words, "I need help," so that the adults present know how they're feeling and that they need assistance, so we can kind of cut that off before they get too upset. Whenever we talk about this strategy, we always reinforce it by telling them that whenever they do this, an adult will always come and assist them right away. We always talk about our cool down spot, and we learn about belly breathing, but we have, honestly, at the moment, we don't have a cool down spot because we haven't needed it with these children. Under the subdomain of personnel, I believe that anyone who observes my classroom will agree that there is compelling evidence that staffing is appropriate for the number and needs of our children, and that we serve to facilitate engagement and learning. because of our low numbers and the high executive function of my students. We only have 2 adults, but we usually only have 4 students at the most. Both my ed tech and I are a teaching team, and we both have very clearly defined roles, although the children would probably also say that there's a 3rd teacher. We have this little blue guy here named Barry, who serves as our circle time teacher, and he also helps with social stories for social emotional development, and he's just a problem solving guy. So if you were to ask them, they'd probably say that there's 3 teachers in here. All the adults in the room, including Barry, present themselves in a friendly and positive manner to the children. We always let them know how happy we are that they were at school, and we try to provide them with positivity to help build up their self-esteem and to help build a positive image of what school is to help benefit them when transitioning into big kid school.